Hello, this is Michelle with Artful Possibilities. Thank you for joining me today for this acrylic painting tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint roses on a black background. Now there are many different styles and many different ways to paint roses. And we're going to do this style today, and I'm going to paint on an 11 by 14 inch, I believe is the size of my canvas. I already had one painted with black, so 14 by 11. Okay, you can do this literally on any size canvas and adjust the size of the rose by just going up or down on your brush size. So for today, I'm just going to be using a flat brush, and it's about a 1/2 inch. Okay, and I think that's going to be the only brush that we need. I'm going to give it a try. We can also just add one script liner to do some tendrils. So this is a number 2 script liner. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is draw a circle about where I'd like the rose, and I want it to be actually a little bit smaller than I want the rose to be. So I'm going to draw a circle right about here, and then another one here, and then over here I'm going to do 2. And then over here, I'll probably have some more. Down in through here, I envision lots of leaves, but you never know. I may decide to throw a rose in there. So to give these roses some dimension, what we have to do is leave some of the black showing, and the black is going to create our shading. So I'm going to have the inside of this rose up toward the end like that. Okay, they look better if you don't put them smack dab in the middle usually. So depending which way you want them to point, that's where I'm going to kind of put those centers. So we have something like that. They look like olives right now. Okay, so the brushes I have out for now, like I said, are about a 1/2 inch flat, number 2 script liner. And my colors are Liquitex Basics Acrylics. And the colors are Burnt Umber, Light Olive Green, Hunter's Green Hue Permanent, Titanium White, and Alizaron Crimson. And I am going to need a drop of black also at the very end to put some little dots in the roses. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to start. Let's see, are we getting a glare from the light? I'm going to lift one of these ring lights up a little bit and see if that helps. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with this. I might have to tip it a little bit for my own, for my hand to be able to get in there, but I'm going to be using little bits of paint at a time on this and more of a dry brush. So I'm going to take some crimson and I'm going to add some white to it. And then I'm just going to hold the brush the skinny way. I'm not going to use the full stroke. I'm going to use it up on its thin edge. And I'm just going to come around and just make a series of dashes. Now I'm adding more paint, and I actually want to use a little more of the crimson right now. So I want to leave it a little bit darker around that center. I'm just going to keep laying some layers in. Now the black is going to absorb a lot of this color, and as it dries we're going to be coming back in. We're going to be adding more. Okay, so that's a good foundation right there. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to the others. I'm going to take some crimson and wipe it on my palette with a little bit of white. And again, I'm going to go around, and I'm actually making strokes that will shape that oval. Okay, so you don't want your strokes to be vertical or horizontal. You want them to follow the shape of that oval that we drew. Okay. Amazing how fast that comes together. So we're going to do more here. And it's okay to extend your circle a little bit also with that color. Now, those two together are going to look a little too symmetrical, so I'm going to end up putting another one up above it, like a bud. Okay, this canvas is a little bit bigger than the one that I used when I originally painted this, so I'll probably add more roses. I'm going to do some light strokes there. So I just keep on loading the brush with crimson and a little white. Okay, so right in through here, I think I'm going to tip this sideways so I can get at it. And I'm going to go ahead and paint another one here pointing downward. So I'm going to grab a little bit of paint and I'm going to imagine where the center would be on that. And I'm going to leave it on that side. Okay. So let's see. All right, pretty good. So it's already drying into the canvas, so I want to come in and I want to build up some lighter layers. And I also want to just put a little bit of the crimson, just straight crimson, kind of in those centers a little bit. I don't really want white. Just want a little crimson on top of the black. There we go. Okay, so let's work on this larger one right here. So what I want to do is come in and kind of strengthen the colors that I already put down. So I'm going to go back over them with more of the crimson. Okay, while that's wet, I'm going to take crimson plus white, mix that on my brush, and I'm going to come back in. And as I stroke on this rose, I'm going to go outside this area a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and let it come out. I'm going to take little tiny strokes. I'm going to let it come out from the original. I'm going to grab some more white. And I'm going to make some more strokes. And we want to leave some of the darker areas in there. Okay, you don't want to cover them up. You need lights and darks to give dimension on this. So right up in here, I'm going to come in and make the rose a little bit lighter here where it starts to touch that center. And then I'm going to go above it. Okay. Oops, I keep slipping that paper towel. All right. Let's come in. And the more you come in and you add white, the brighter the rose is going to get, but the white is also going to fade down inside into that rose. Okay. This is so much fun and it goes so fast. I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of them. I'm going to use some crimson, I'm going to use some white, and we're going to go around and define our rose. All right. Let's do this one. This one I'm going to make a little more pink. Not going to add quite as much white to it. Let's little baby bud over here. I'm gonna just go ahead and form around that center. Okay. I'm going to take some more extra white here and put some up behind that center and then a little bit in front. So that's going to come forward a little bit. These are just very, very fun, whimsical roses. We're just creating an illusion of a rose. Okay. And I actually really like the pink in that one, so I'm going to hold off messing with that one for now. And I'm going to do some down here. Let some of those brush strokes go outside your circle. Keep getting a little more white. Now I haven't washed my brush since I've started this. I might wash it a little before we start playing with some of the greens. Right in through here, I want to get some lighter color. So I want my light color to kind of go in a row like this and leave some darker color down inside. Okay, because that gives the illusion of depth there. Just keep adding a little bit more white. Okay. And some white here. I have one more down here, and I'm going to add more crimson to it, make it a little bit deeper color. And I'm going to take a little bit of white in here and get some of those edges. Okay. Just keep playing with it. Now outside, it's kind of like a little bit of a dry brush now that I'm just adding a little bit of white out there, out in the background. Okay. Any tips that you want to make a little bit lighter, go back in with some more white. And then we might end up going back in to that center and making that a little bit darker after also. Okay. Just playing and having fun. They're very abstract looking. Okay. All right. You can see how the white is just fading right in. So if you want anything to be brighter, you're going to have to come back in and hit it with just a little bit more white. And don't be afraid, because it is going to fade. So don't be afraid to apply it. All right, let's get some green on there. I'm going to rinse my brush a little bit. And I'm going to grab some of the Hooker's green and a little bit of burnt umber and mix it into this. Whoops, I got a little bit of olive green. Just mix it into this luscious green. Wipe it on your towel. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of white. So what I'm going back onto the background with is just very little color and a dry brush. And I'm going to create some leaves by just moving the brush, leaving a lot of the black showing. Whoops, I did not mean to take a bunch of white there. Okay, so just make the shape of a leaf, but don't touch it to your rose. Leave space. Okay. Take a little bit of the olive green too and come in and hit one side or both sides of those leaves. And I just keep playing with this, and no, these don't look really exactly like rose leaves. They don't have to. We are painting for fun and whimsy, so we can do whatever we'd like. So I'm just quickly brushing and turning the brush to make the shape of a leaf. Okay, and what I want to do is create a dry brush effect. I'm just going to get some of the greens on the brush, put the brush down, and I'm just going to fluff that around like this. Grab a little bit more, throw some in here, and we're just going to build that up slowly but surely. Okay, now for this end, I really didn't mean to hit the white. I'm just showing you up close here. So in this area, we have some smaller, brighter leaves. Okay, right here I didn't mean to get that so bright, so I'm going to go back over it. Okay, let's put this down, take a look, take a step back and take a little look at it, and I'm just going to come in and brush. I'm just really dry brushing a base of green in there. And take a little bit of the olive green, touch it on your paper towel, and come back in and brush a little bit of that on here. Just going to look like strokes out in the background. Add just a little white. So these are just random strokes that come together and create a sort of a misty background. Okay, we're getting there. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of white, touch the brush on my towel, and I'm going to come in and just pull, pull, and I'm just going to put them in here and there. Down here I'm going to make some brush strokes. Take a little bit more white. Now this white is near the Alizaron Crimson, and it's a little bit dirty looking, and I'm okay with that. Just coming in, fluffing in a little bit of background. Rinse my brush a little bit. I'm going to come back in and look at the roses one by one. So right now this rose I really like. I'm going to grab a little bit more crimson, and I'm just going to strengthen the darker areas that I see that I really like in there. Then I'm going to take a little bit of white on my brush and just rub it on the palette like that. And I'm going to come back in, and I'm just going to run my brush back on the lighter areas that I want to strengthen again. Next I'll look at this one, same thing, and take some crimson, get it back down in there where I want it to be darker. So basically I'm going over the crimson areas with more crimson, and then the lighter areas with a little bit of white. I'm going to come back in and touch those. And I'm going to extend out my brush outside the rows a little bit to make them more loose. Okay. Alright, so then I'm going to, these little ones I'm going to leave lighter like that and more subtle because they're in the background and I kind of like them fading out like that. So I'm going to look at this big one next. Let's get some more crimson in here. So come back in, hit it here and there where you have darker color. Strengthen that crimson color. And now we're going to get some white. I need a little bit more white. Grab some white. Same thing. Come in wherever you want your lighter petals. Just come in and hit them. The lighter, like the edges of the petals. Okay. Make them a little bit brighter here and there. And I'm extending the petals beyond what we originally painted. That's why we drew them a little smaller than we wanted our finished rose to be. Alright. And these, I'm just going to go back over with a little bit of white. I kind of like them soft and subtle like they are. Sometimes I like to tip it up and take a look at it and just decide where I want to come in again with some more light. So I'm going to the lighter areas and I'm making them just a little bit lighter. Oops, there's a little green in there. That's okay. My brush hit in some green. Alright, let's go back in now and work on the centers a little. I did say that we're going to need a little tiny bit of Mars Black. I'm going to get some black on the palette. Okay, so let's go ahead, dip the corner of our brush in some black, and we're going to come in and just strengthen that center like that down into the rose. We'll do that on all of them. Just a little bit of darker color. Okay, and the same thing here. I come down and a little bit up at the top. This is a pretty quick little video, just a fun, strokey video. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add some little tendrils. I'm going to take my liner brush, put these in the jar. So I'm going to take my script liner, Put a puddle of water on the palette, grab some white, mix it in, grab a little green, whatever green I have, mix it in. All right, and so now I'm going to draw some curlicues and some tendrils in between the roses. I'm gonna put one here, up and around. Get some lines in between. So I'm just kind of playing today and having fun with this. I'm going to go ahead and draw a curlicue there. Now if you don't have enough water on your brush, it's not going to flow very well. I'm just having fun making these flow from one rose to the other. So you can just play and practice these. All right. We could come in and add more leaves also. I think I will do that just to show you how. So if you want some leaves that are a little bit more prominent, you can I'm just going to grab a mix of the greens that are on my palette and a little bit of white, and I'm going to come in. So I'm going to tip this, and I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to do some brighter small leaves in there. There, and you can come in and kind of hit the sides of some of the original leaves also. So you see these little white lines that we put in with the sideways brush stroke, they've kind of faded into the background, which is what I wanted. Okay. I'll throw in some leaves like that. So what I suggest is that you step back and you take a look at your creation and just see if there's anything else that you want to do to it. I'm going to continue to add a little bit of white to these roses. Now I'm using the same brush, but you could get a round brush and use that also. You could use the point of the brush to go back in and create more of the edges. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So one of the things that I would like to do to kind of finish this off is splatter it with the pink. So I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to put a puddle of water down and get some crimson and some white. And make a pink. And then I'm going to come in. I need more paint. I usually use a round brush for splatter, but I was trying to do just one brush today for you, but we actually needed two because we had to get the script liner in there in order to do those curlicues. Okay, by not bringing the leaves right down to the roses, we've left a shadow effect behind the rose. I like that. So if you wanted to, you could actually come in with a little bit of black and you could add some shadow under the other roses if you wanted them to pop Also, you could just come in like that and add some black under them and give them more space like the top ones have, just to have that black in there. So that also adds a little bit of depth down in there. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with that, and I just want to go ahead and put some black dots. So I'm going to use the handle of that script liner. I'm going to dip in my black paint, and I'm just going to put some little clusters here and there on top of the roses. And I'm just going to keep dotting my brush till it runs out of paint. So I'm going to have bigger dots and then smaller as I run out of paint. Okay. Now you could use dimensional paint for these embellishments also, which would be so pretty. And you could also put some of this down in the centers if you wanted, just to give a little dimension. Alright, so let's kind of stand back and take a look. Maybe I'll put some up in here. Alright. You can just keep on going. White would also be very pretty. Or pink. Alright, so that is how you do really, really fast and furious, sort of abstract roses on a black background. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a wonderful day.